So, Dr. Laitman, in your book, you talk about integral, unity-oriented education. What is that, and does that mean that people have to go back to school? How do you see it play out?
Well, yeah. When I refer to integral education, what I mean is that, yes, human beings need to be as if re-educated, and I'm talking children and adults alike. What we need to learn is something that we don't have. When I refer to integral education, I mean learning how we can be compatible with the system of nature that surrounds us. That greater system of nature, or godliness, is a round system. We are all parts of a collective soul, a collective entity, and we have to match that entity through in the connections between us. That means we have to rise above the fights between us. We have to all contribute to our common connection, and that requires education. Now, that education system actually exists. The principles of it also are very much laid out in the wisdom of Kabbalah. When I discovered it, I was amazed, and it's quite. What the amazing thing is to think about how people in ancient times existed that way. To some extent, before at the time of the first temple and the second temple, until it was shattered. We have to rekindle that kind of social education and social unity. And to revive it and enliven it is the work we have to do. And I very much hope that we'll succeed, but we're going to have to educate everyone. It's not children at school. It's a matter of social education, of the social climate. We're coming to a point also that human society will not be able to continue and survive the way it is right now if we don't do that. And so as soon as we begin to embrace this kind of social education, we will also see, if we do this as a group, we will begin to see how it also permeates the nations of the world. And that's because all of humanity is interconnected. And we, as hubs, spread and radiate it. And so that will make nations of the world and people in the world feel inclined towards that human connection. And that's the meaning of light unto the nations in that human network. Just like today, people feel that the people of Israel somehow cause trouble in the world or evils in the world. It comes from as an inherent sense, a deep-seated demand from this group. And in the same way, if we'll begin to implement this education, people will begin to demand that connection from us. And that will begin to spread. And through that connection, we are able to discover the higher force, the godly force. And I hope we will finally start moving towards this. Yes.
Well, I don't know. It's funny, when two kids fight in the kindergarten. When my 3-year-old son, he fights with someone, you always teach to take the other side. There are two sides to every argument, to every. But I wonder, why do you think Jewish people, whenever you talk to them, are so loath to even take a shred of the responsibility on them? It's such a no-no. Like you can't speak about it. I find in certain places. Why do you think is that, Professor Patterson? I'm asking you especially. I mean, you're traveling the different circuits, meeting with people. I get a sense that it's really, we can't talk about, even propose it. So how can we get to education if we can't even think that there is something that we need to do about ourselves?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, those who are most responsible are most loath to assume responsibility. I mean, there is I have a chapter in my book called Jewish-Jew Hatred. And there's some among us, among the Jewish people, would rather be like everyone else than to take on this added mission of being singled out to say, God's saying, I want you to be the light unto the nations. I want you to say to everyone else, every soul is chosen. Every soul is indispensable to all of creation. I don't want to be that messenger, because the messenger sometimes suffers serious consequences from it. So what you have, there's a phenomenon of Jews loving all sorts of quaint and curious cultures except their own. There's a joke, if I may tell a little joke here. Jewish gentleman, secular Jewish gentleman riding on a subway in New York City. He looks sitting across from him, sitting there as a man in a black hat, beard, black coat. And he's getting more and more irritated just by the sight of this guy. And finally he says, "Why do you people have to dress like that? You make the rest of us look ridiculous. Look at you. No wonder people hate us." And the guy says, "I'm afraid you've mistaken me for someone else. I'm Amish." And the Jewish gentleman says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. People, they are not corrupted by the modern times. They don't buy into all these fashions and fads. You're such wonderful, beautiful people." So it's why as soon as he finds out, well, this one doesn't implicate me. He's Amish. It's the chassid that implicates me, or just the Jew. So I would say in some ways, Jews even more so don't want to be reminded of the calling